personal stuff outside.
That's it.
Damn. Wow.
He's got
It's called an interview, J-Mac. 97.9 The Box. We got Mo Amer, and I was talking about his name because me and Cooper were fighting about it before he got here. Because I was saying Amir, and Cooper like, no, it's Amer. And I'm like, no, Cooper. They're like, okay, I'm just saying the way the guy says his name, Hatter.
Yeah.
So he got mad and he shut down.
So you took another L because Cooper won.
Oh man, so it's not about wins or losses. It's
That's all
all
it's about wins and losses. If you weren't winning, you wouldn't be up here.
Yes, true. You're right. Damn, you put it in that context. Damn, you gotta have.
Don't let anybody ever fool you.
All right. Hey,
Mo
man.
like, man, I'll just try to get an interview.
Welcome back together, bro. Good to be back in Houston, bro. This is tensions. My man here is just on it.
I don't know what you just walked into, Mo. I'm sorry, man. J-Mac is on one today, man. I guess he's still on it, man.
I don't know.
We was over here having a nice conversation about lineage and names and the whole nine. And Mac like, hey, man, on your personal time, Hatter.
Yeah, he said, man, I don't know. What's wrong with you, man? You all right?
He ain't over here making us laugh and cracking jokes.
I feel like you were about to get laid last night, and then it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And then you are frustrated.
That's what 30 years, bro.
You frustrated. It's just like you
Max
woke up
never had
ready.
sex. That's what half the problem is. That's what all the anger is. He's still a virgin.
I feel like he took a big L last night, apparently, or something.
I take an L every night.
He's gonna watch CW Riverbend, whatever that show is. I don't even know what that show is. Who watches CW anymore? I'm not supposed to say this out loud. Yeah. Everybody connected. Hey, but who watches television anymore? That's what I mean. You know,
Yeah,
like
you watch your phone. I watch
everybody's
Netflix.
streaming everything. Tennis.
Serena's playing now.
Yeah.
Watching TV lately.
Yeah, you watch YouTube. You watch the
ESPN.
who even watches that? ESPN. All right, cool.
Do
Congratulations.
you really get time to watch
you work
television?
early.
Mo, be
No.
honest, because you're always on the road anyway.
I am always on the road, but I'm a streamer. Like I'm somebody who just.
So what are you
watches.
watching? What's Mo's show right now?
Oh man, I mean, I finished Stranger Things recently.
Already?
Yeah,
I hate to
finished
admit it. I
Jeez.
started watching this shit.
Season one?
yeah.
I don't even know how it happened. I think listening to them talk, I hear them talk
got
about, and it gets in my head.
Yeah.
I started watching. I'm like, why am I into watching these children and some and an alien? Well, how's this happened?
They're not
I mean, I absolutely love the show because, you know, growing up in A-Leaf, I grew up with 7 like homies that are still really close to me today.
Really?
And it reminds me, I love those kind of movies like The Sandlot. The Sandlot's like a classic to me. So for me to watch Stranger Things, it's like a you know, sci-fi version of The Sandlot. That's what I feel like I'm watching.
Did y'all have a bro code like they do on the show?
bro code?
You know how they had all these rules on the kids on the show. They have these little rules like friends can't lie to each other.
Right.
You can't bring nobody new in unless everybody agrees on
I mean,
it.
that's kind of like, without saying, like we were raised not to lie to each other, so we're that's like life code. Hey man, just because we're friends, we don't lie. I don't understand that. No. We were always very tight. We're always very real with each other. That's why we're very tight to this day. So that's the kind
they
of.
are as successful as you?
Yeah, they're all doing very well. Actually, everybody's doing very well. Okay. Not as maybe, you know what I'm saying, but they're doing very well.
You got that one friend that's just,
You
hey
know,
we don't know what happened to Bucky, man. Things didn't work out for him.
Yeah, I mean basically, but no, everybody's doing really well. It's amazing because I think that our friendship and our brotherhood is really what propelled all of us to have successful careers. You know, it's like we always made goals together, and that's really, I thought it was really dope. And everybody's doing like really well. Like if I didn't get the Hulu show, I might not be the best one so far. But now since I'm on a TV show, I can say yeah, I'm doing better.
Tell everybody
than all
about
of
the TV show. Tell everybody about.
Oh, so I just, you know, I did my Netflix special, The Vagabond, and then I'm on a TV show, the first ever Muslim Arab TV show on Hulu. So I'm
That's
second
a big deal.
leading that. It's a big
you
deal,
like
man.
threw that out there like that ain't shit.
It's a big deal. No, it's great, man. It's great. I'm very excited about that. And there's some other really fantastic news, but I'm not gonna make that announcement until I do the shows at the Improv. Yeah.
What? Oh, so we got to come to his show to hear the announcement.
Well, I have to
Good
wait
street,
because
Harry.
let me sign first. You know what I mean?
Okay, that makes
let me
sense.
commit to the right team, and then I'll let y'all know what's happening. But it's going to be huge. Like it's an honor, and it's gonna be spectacular, and it involves Houston, and I'm very excited.
Are you ever surprised that your career you have this career, you are this funny man, you are this comedian, you actually live off of what you set out to do. Because we've talked to you before. Initially, when you tell your parents I'm gonna be a comedian, they're like, son, look. God,
Yeah, I know. Canadian.
Please.
They were like, Canadian, what's that? Because they don't even know what comedy was at the
Right.
time. But no, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not surprised because
you knew it was gonna happen.
yeah, I mean, I decided to be a comedian when I was 10, and you know, when I got my Netflix special, the first thing I felt was relief. I was like, oh, I was right. You know what I mean? I was right to choose this path. It just required a tremendous amount of patience, and that's what it takes, man. It's what it really takes. You have to have love for the craft or whatever you do, and the patience to like withstand all the BS. That
Was
comes
there
with
ever a
it.
question that Mo may not get there?
Of course, man. You like shit. Everybody doubts themselves. You know, everybody. You sit there like, is this gonna happen? I mean, like, please God, let it happen. I'm tired of driving this Toyota Camry 8 hours each way for $100. Like, please God, help me. You know, like, yeah, of course you have those moments of vulnerability, but I always believe like if you just like continue and hold firm and just keep working on your craft, everything else falls into place.
Did you feel like
And my
you knew that
mentor
you-
told me early on, he was like 20 years for overnight success. And I just hit my 20-year professional anniversary
Really?
in June.
Congratulations,
And I
Mo.
just
That's
started
big.
popping off. So it's just
Nice.
like, you know, it takes that
that
much
sounds
time.
like some BS. I gotta wait
It's
20
so-
years to make it.
Exactly. But when you make it, it's like it's a big jump. You know,
It
it's a
is.
big jump from 150 a show. You know, like you're taking next level. And obviously touring with Chappelle the last 6.5 years has been tremendous for me and changed everything for me. You know, he's been like my last professional mentor, and what a great mentor to have. You know,
That's right.
yeah.
It's good to see a guy out of H-Town just making on his, especially in comedy too. And then, because you're Muslim, did you ever feel like those things that you are were holding you back, and it was going to be a hard road for you?
No, I always thought that was what's going to propel me. Actually,
Really?
yeah, because I mean, at some point, obviously after 9/11, I was like Italian for 3 months. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I was straight up Italian
Right.
for 3 months. I was scared the way people were talking, things I was overhearing. Like it was just like too much. And I was genuinely like scared for my life. I was like really, really worried. And then I realized that this was, you know, there's always been a big gap in Arab culture in Western society. Like it's always been used, but nobody really knows where it comes from. Nobody understands. Like hookahs are everywhere, bro. Like you can't find a spot without a hookah. It's like we gave white people a loophole to smoke inside the club or something because that's legal and everything else. And then white people were like, man, this is too big to carry around. I got to fill water, put charcoal at the top. Let me distill it into a battery and put like this cartridge at the top of it with some mysterious liquid that nobody the hell knows what the hell it. Nobody's questioning this liquid,
Sure,
bro.
right. You're
Everybody's
right.
walking around like Darth Vader and
Everybody's smoking it.
and Game of Thrones dragons just spitting out this crazy amount of clouds and nobody's saying anything. But that's from Arab culture, from Middle Eastern culture, and hummus is everywhere. Like, what if I offered somebody hummus on September 12th, 2001?
I love some hummus and chips.
And
I'm
tabbouleh.
just trying.
Thanks, Cooper. Cooper put me on the hummus. Cooper, my
Who
man.
put you on the hummus?
Cooper.
Coop. All right.
Cooper, I didn't know what the hell that was at first.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I know.
Hummus? What's a hummus, bro?
What's a
Yeah, man. Now,
hummus?
that's always in the refrigerator. I keep hummus on lock,
Oh
son.
man, we need to have a conversation because I don't even know if you're eating real hummus. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Now
I
I'm
don't even
eating
know.
the fake
Wait
stuff.
a
It's
minute.
not-
The stuff at the store, the red is not real.
Yeah,
hummus?
yeah, of course. Yeah, buy some Tupperware. Man, I'm gonna smack you here in a second. man. Sorry, excuse me. I get really worked up over hummus. But
You don't have to like get the chickpeas and like boil them and smash them up yourself. do you?
Yeah, I do. You don't smash them up yourself like that. They got technology, bro. You just get a food processor.
Jimbo.
You get a food processor. Put some lemon, lime. Oh my God, chili peppers. Oh, I gotta have a conversation with everybody in this room.
man.
We're out.
No. I mean,
Cooper,
it's-
your shit fake too.
It's just, no, it's just interesting to see what's happening with that. I never saw the monetary returns of this chickpea paste when since I've been eating this thing since I was like
I didn't
3 years
realize
old.
that was an Arab thing. I thought it was Indian, to be honest with you.
Oh, see, there that goes. See, Coop now trying to hijack our stuff. Got him
again, baby. Got it.
The Indians have had a hard road. You know what I'm saying?
So, real quick, what's your recipe for hummus then? Just so if I'll make some real quick.
All right, it's very easy, bro.
Okay.
It's 4 ingredients, sometimes 5.
Okay.
Arabs argue about the 5. Okay, it's chickpeas, tahini paste, salt, lemon juice. Okay,
Lemon
you get a
juice.
whole thing of lemon juice. This is a process. You don't.
Okay.
I just have 1 lemon for you. No, bitch. You need a whole damn jug of lemon juice. Okay, and sometimes garlic. It just depends on if you like garlic or not.
86
Now, when you start, you know, yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. I'm just start sweating and stuff and smell nice. Garlic, you don't want none of that. So you get all those ingredients together. You start putting them in the food processor, the right texture, the right taste, of course, flavor. Get it out, and you take it out, and you put it in a bowl. Okay, you don't put it on a flat plate. You put it in a damn bowl. Okay, nobody dips salsa in a flat plate. Okay, you gotta put it in a bowl. You got like racetrack marks all over this plate. Hummus coming over the side. You need a bowl, and you grab some other chickpeas that you didn't put all in the food processor. You got to grab like a handful and put them right in the middle. That's for texture. You can't just have all just paste. You got to put it right in the middle. And then you grab some olive oil, some real deep green olive oil, okay? Not that BS that you like see through. No, you dip in your pinky. It like coats your pinky perfectly. Doesn't drizzle or nothing. It's so thick. And you pour
Damn,
it.
this hummus sounds
And
serious.
you
It's
pour
like,
it. And you pour it, son. You don't just like, oh, I'm just going to garnish it. No. You turn it over and you hold it. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, maybe 5, okay? And you garnish it whatever you want. I like a little raw jalapenos. I just dice it up real nice, put some in the middle, and that's real hummus.
We coming over, baby. We coming over.
Cooper, you sold us on some bullshit, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
You
that's
lied to me, dog.
that's real hummus.
Are you a cooker? You cook a lot?
Yeah, I do cook a lot. Yeah, I mean, I
Did
had
you
no
say
choice.
Mo if he was
We've-
married?
No.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah,
had
You're married?
I am, yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm sorry to disappoint you. But I am Muslim. I got 3 slots open.
Just sign me up.
I'm just trying to let you know. You know what I mean? It's like life insurance policy, everybody eats. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
So Mo, with the special, were you surprised by the celebrity endorsements of the special? Because I was watching, when I saw Will Smith just come out and just say, "Hey, you need to watch this special here." The far-reaching of your, the Vagabond. I was there. There was like electricity in the night when it was recorded.
It was amazing. Yeah,
it
that night
was a great
amazing.
night, and the special came off really well too. So,
Yeah, it was great.
Were you surprised by Will taking time out?
I knew Will Smith was gonna call me, and no, I didn't know anything. Me and Will go way back. Speaking of CW, I used to watch the hell out of Fresh Prince on CW. No, man, it was amazing to have Will Smith's co-star. Like it's for Chappelle to first of all introduce me. Never made it in the cut. But for Chappelle to be involved, and then they have like an icon as Will Smith, a man I've admired. Who hasn't admired this guy since like his body of work is just tremendous. Yeah. So I did a show actually at the Peppermint Lounge with Dave. Chappelle calls me up. We're in LA. He was like, "Hey man, come through." And I was like, okay. It was like one of these LA nights. And I just pop in and I see Will Smith in the corner like, he's about to box in a ring or something. He's like nervous. He's jumping around. I was like, what's going on? Will Smith's here, first of all. What the hell is he doing here? Mm-hmm. And why is he backstage like this? And he's like, man, I'm about to perform stand-up for the first time, this and that. And then I figured out he's doing his bucket list show. And that's the night he's going to do stand-up. I was like, what's going on? And then Jon Stewart walks in. And then John Mayer walks in. And then my boy Michael Che walks in. And then Michelle Wolf walks in. It's like Cat Williams is backstage with his Emmy in his hand. He just won his Emmy. Like it's wild backstage, bro. I'm like, what's going on? So Chappelle and John Mayer are hosting the show. And John brings up the first act, which nobody knows who's coming, right? So the audience has no idea. It's like a little 200-seater. It's a very intimate environment. And he brings up Will Smith. The place goes bananas, okay? It's like they go insane. They're like, what's he doing? And he does his stand-up bit. Jada's in the audience. His family's in the audience. And he's just like killing because everybody doesn't expect him to come up there. And he's been preparing for this joint. And then Jon Stewart surprised the audience. Place goes bananas. And then they introduce me. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I just go up and I freestyle. I was like, man, you guys had like amazing night so far. You've had John Mayer, Dave Chappelle, Will Smith, Jon Stewart, and now DJ Khaled. Bro, y'all so lucky. Y'all so lucky. And another one, exactly. And I did like 5 minutes of my joint, and I just smashed really hard. And Will Smith came up to me, and he was just like, bro, you're a genius. I've never seen you, but I was like about to cry. I was trying to keep it together. And then he asked me to do his bucket list show in Abu Dhabi, where I was like punking his son in one of the episodes, the racing episode. And then out of nowhere, like 2 weeks later, you know, he watches my special and I get this video from him. I was just like, okay. You know, I was just freaking out. I was in the house. I'm not gonna lie. I was in the house. I had my bump box. I was just like playing my song from my special, and I was just like, I made it. I'm not even gonna lie. I was celebrating pretty heavy, bro. I was having a great time, and I didn't expect that at all, bro.
You got me
It's
when
amazing.
you say you freestyled the show.
Yeah,
How often do you do that?
every night.
You can go on stage and just make it up off the top of your head?
Every night at least. Like
That sounds scary.
Now for people when they buy tickets, of course you want to give them a show, and I do give them a show. And there's a lot of material in the tank. I'm not concerned about that. But as somebody who constantly is touring, it's important to make it fresh, to constantly write new stuff. So I'm always, you know, shifting my material and changing it out regularly. So part of that process for me is to freestyle. Actually, it's the main process. I have a certain set of ideas in my head that I've probably thought about for years, and then I eventually, you know, when their time comes, those subject matters come up. When they're in the forefront of my mind, I just start talking about them.
Do all comedians do this, or this?
No.
Okay. 'cause
No.
This doesn't sound like something you should go on stage and try regularly.
I think if you're a young comedian, you should.
Really?
Yeah, I absolutely recommend it because I've never been. I write. Absolutely, I write, but at the same time, I can't sit there and be like, what am I going to speak about today? Oh, this subject seems interesting. Like, I can't sit, I'll go crazy, bro. I can't sit there in a room like that. I have to think about it, I organize it in my head, and then I take it on stage. Because the audience is what inspires me. I hear a laugh, and then I think of a line that I would have never thought of before in
And
solitude.
you can freestyle that.
I can, all day, man.
And when you were in school,
I've done
when you were in
hours and
high
hours.
school, when you were in high school, did you develop that? Because this sounds like a skill that you had to develop early on, like Jay-Z when he started learning how to freestyle the way that he
Yeah,
did.
it's definitely a skill that you can develop over time for sure. It's, you know, I did do some in high school, but I've always been that way in life. Like I freestyle my whole life. I feel like I've just completely improv my entire life. I'm not even gonna lie.
you
I
did.
do that.
I just
Now on no big stage.
I didn't even know you were still here, bro.
The big stage of life, huh?
Funny
Welcome
guy.
back, J-Mac.
Funny
Mo was a
guy.
real
You just
freestyle
woke
king.
up, bro. Good to see you, son.
Thought you left the
improvising
interview.
now, huh?
Thought you left the interview 10 minutes ago.
Improvising now.
No, it's super crucial.
He was just taking a nap, a quick nap.
I feel like somebody took an edible in this room. I can't pin it exactly, but somebody took.
All of them laughing.
Yes, it's us. It's
No,
us.
for real. Like, look, when I opened for Dave, I opened for all of Dave's specials, with the exception of the one in L.A., Age of Spin. I was there though, and when I did Equanimity for him in D.C., you know, normally you do 15, 20 minutes, and it's a tape show. It's the one he's doing for his special, so it's very tight, usually on time. This is the first show of 6. So I'm up there, I do my 15, I see it, like 5 more minutes. Okay, no problem. Do another 5, get there. Tour manager comes out, he's like, yo, another 5. I was like, all right, so I just keep doing, so I got plenty of material. And then he comes back out, and I was like, oh, it's probably gonna be another 5. And he goes, 10. I was like, 10 more. I was like, what's going on backstage? I was like, I'm editing all my jokes and everything. I was like, oh no, what do I got? So I'm like freestyling, just thinking in my head, like, what am I gonna do next? Boom, I do like another 12 minutes. And at this point, I'm like, all right, I don't see him. It's been 12 minutes. I have a clock on stage. Most big shows will have a clock on stage. I was like, cool, it's been 12. I haven't seen him. All right, boom, I'm gonna close on this banger. Bam. All right, thank you, good night. He runs out. Another 5. Well, I already said good night. You can't just be like, oh, let's talk about this subject. You can't do that.
Right.
So now freestyle. Now you have to freestyle. So I ended up freestyling for another 5 to 7. I mean, just like, and I murdered the play. It was just like a great, you know, skill set to have in your back pocket. Like, oh, I don't need my material. Here you go. What's going on? You know, let's talk. Let's have a conversation.
That's all right, Mo.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about Dave Chappelle why he kind of seemed like he took you under his wing and, you know, gave you some good advice and stuff like that? What do you think about, what was it about your comedy, or what is it about your comedy that made him say, hey, this guy's the real one?
I just hope that it's like, I know it's because
Why you?
I
It
don't
could
know.
be
I
anybody.
mean,
It could have been J Mac, but no, he chose you.
Look, J Mac barely awake right now, bro. He's sitting there on mushrooms or something, bro. He's on psychedelics, bro. You are something else. My man's is here. He's watching CW on the phone. Yeah. I don't know the direct answer to that, but I feel like Dave and I have like a tremendous connection that was just like, it was pretty that grew over time, and it was just how hard I worked and how I performed on stage. And he would tell me, I remember in Dallas in 2012 or 13, he was just like, you're like me, Mo. You can be smart and you can also be goofy. You have that balance of both, and I like that a lot. And I remember he's the one who inspired me really to film the special and really kick off and work so hard, because I filmed one in DC that I never released. I was like, no, I'm gonna hold on to it. I just didn't feel like it was ready. I just ate whatever the cost on it. Yeah, exactly. So I just ate it, but he inspired me and pushed me to believe in myself again. It's such a long career. You have these moments, like you said, did you ever doubt yourself? Of course, you doubt yourself. But then you have people that come into your life that re-energize you. And Dave is significant for me like that. Not only forget about the professional side, as a brother, he's like a brother to me, man. I love that man. I love what and I respect him immensely, because I saw him do so many shows at this point. I don't know how many shows I've seen him do, performing together over probably 700 easily together, and then the ones where I just chill and hang out and watch. It's probably been 1,000 shows where I've seen him perform, and how he works and formulates his sets, and to see where it starts, to see his process, and he calls it literally the process, and to see where he starts and where he ends up is like a magic trick, bro. It's like, wow. And I learned a lot, and I feel like we're very similar, and his mother actually, had very beautiful things to say about me after we did Radio City Music Hall, and she inspired me as well. Tremendous. I love her to death. And so it was just like one of those things. It was like a spiritual thing, it was like you can't really articulate it with words, but it's just things that happen around you at the time where it's special, and you move forward, and he's always somebody I can call. Like, we don't perform as much because I released my special and I'm touring myself now, so we don't perform as much as we used to, but I'm gonna go see him in New York for his Broadway run, and he's my brother. His family is like, his family is like my family, bro. Like, I love them very much, and so you have people that come into your life at certain times, and Dave has inspired many. Dave has inspired many, either directly or indirectly. Has inspired a lot of comedians and a lot of people, in general. So he was just the right place, the right time.
Well, I want to go back to something, because being Muslim American, Arab American, had that had any? Did it at any point stop you from doing what you were doing? Was there fear in that as well? Because there was a time where you don't see that, even as comedians or loving comedy, you didn't see that. I don't know if there was a role model for you per se, somebody that looked like you, that talked like you, that's from had your same background. You know what I mean? To give you the okay, question. Like, I can do that.
I was sincerely terrified, and after 9/11, like I had moments, because I had moments where I was just called so many. I can't say them on the radio, but I was just called so many things that even when they didn't know I was Arab and they would just say something in front of me, I was just like, whoa, what's happening? And it was a lot to take in. That's why I did those military shows. I was like, yo, I gotta be comfortable doing myself. I gotta be comfortable being me. Like, this is. There's so many times, I'm gonna be real, man. Like, after 9/11, I thought it was over. Like, my own family was turning on. Like, my own brother was like, it was after 9/11. My own brother looks at me and goes, your career is over.
What?
I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, your career is over. Look how they're talking about us on television, bro. Nobody wants to see a Muhammad on stage. Nobody wants to see a Muhammad on stage telling jokes. Your career is over. Mm-hmm. I looked at him. I was like, Omar, you're a pilot. What you talking about, bro? It's my career for real.
Is your brother really a pilot?
He is really a pilot.
Wow. I thought that was.
I was like, my career is over. I was like, I think your career is in jeopardy. But I'm blessed that we're both doing well. But I was sincerely concerned, and I didn't have anybody, as far as an Arab background. Yeah. That was that. I was like one of the first guys to do that. It was like I started comedy in '95 in Houston in my high school, but professionally in '99, And so it was just, I didn't have anybody to look toward to look at that. And then after 9/11 and just watching the history of black artists that came up, specifically in stand-up, that was really my go-to, and Carlin was my go-to, and Pryor was the go-to, and those are the people that really inspired me and took that to the next level. I'm Bill Hicks locally, and when I started learning about the history of stand-up, because I didn't even know who Eddie Murphy was, who all these people, I didn't know all these people, because I came when I was 9 years old to the States. I missed all this, significant culture in America. We had what is that show? Like my sisters were watching some soap opera like Bruce Willis Moonlighting or something. Like that's all we knew in Kuwait. Like I didn't see any of that. I was always playing outside, so I had no context of like the history of stand-up and this and that. And it was like in the early 2000s when a comedian, started teaching me about the history of Houston stand-up, and then my mentor, Danny Martinez, he's the one who taught me about the full-on history of stand-up itself, and that's where I just really re-energized me, and I started finding out, I was like, oh my God, this is Eddie Murphy. How did I not know Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor or Carlin and these guys? So I didn't have that, and that's what's so beautiful about this Netflix special, man, because my mom would tell me, like, oh, man, back home, and I'm Palestinian, it's like people in war-torn areas are like feeling inspired from my special. I was like, yo, that's crazy, That's so worth it. I'm so glad that I was able to put out a special with my background and be so real and just tell my story from the get-go, and I can't wait for the next one because I'm going to go hard in the paint.
I think what's cool about it, too, and this is going to sound crazy because everyone loves humor, but I think there's and it could be me, so J-Mac could probably call me stupid, and that's fine. But I think there's a thought pattern of, one, Muslims don't do jokes, not funny. Anybody Arab, they probably, because you see the news and you see Middle East and you see war, so you're like, where's the humor at in all of this? You understand what I'm saying? Where's the humor at? And that might sound crazy, and I don't mind if I sound crazy, but when I think that all my Muslim friends weren't funny people, they were very serious Muslims.
Man, what kind of Muslims you hanging out with, bro?
What
kind of Muslims?
You never see them all. I don't. What Muslims do you see on stage as comedians?
Have you met my Muslim friends?
Hey, Chappelle is Muslim.
Dog, man.
But you don't know that. You know what I'm saying? But you wear yours is worn as like it's
I have
a
no
badge.
choice. Yeah, my name is Muhammad. It's not like I can walk around and be like, call me David. I can't. Or I'm not. I didn't mean to say that because I'm thinking of Dave. But I'm just saying. And
but
even David is that.
You know what I'm saying? But you just. How were you accepted home? How did they accept you?
Oh man, I just sold out shows all throughout the Middle East. It was just amazing. Yeah, it's like And
that may sound ignorant. I don't mind being ignorant.
No. It's a great question, bro. I mean, like it is portrayed that way on television. It is portrayed that way when you try to dehumanize somebody and then you go and bomb the hell out of them so you can take whatever you can and for your own political gain. Of course, you gonna shit on them. Excuse me, but it's like that's what you're gonna do. That is like. The way you dehumanize somebody. It's like, oh, do you guys even have sex? Like, look at them. You might as well. They used to say that about the Jews. Like in Europe, they have tails and this and that. This is what they try to do to dehumanize them and say that. It's like, come on, man. What culture doesn't laugh except Indians? No offense. I'm just saying,
we are very serious people.
Very serious. No, I'm saying it's just so ridiculous to think that nobody. Every culture has a sense of humor. Some are better at it than others, and I would say the ones that are most oppressed are the funniest. There is a natural human reaction that happens when you are so sad all the time. When I go back home in Palestine and they are in confined areas, they can't move freely like we move freely. They can't even go to Jerusalem. You know what I mean? And I go there and they are some of the funniest people ever, bro. Those villages are like, they're so damn funny, bro. I can't even explain it to you. Like it's just culturally they are hilarious. So I think that that is something very natural that happens with the most oppressed people. There's something magical that happens with their sense of humor. I'm like, my God, you could be in war-torn area. Your buildings next door could be gone, but you're still in the house with no lights and this and that, and you're laughing. You're laughing more than ever. I think it's just a natural thing that happens there, instinctually. But yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
So what makes you laugh?
What makes
you laugh? Because you always make everybody else laugh. You're the funny guy.
To me, like everything, there's a lot of things that make me laugh. It's not just like one thing. There's not some people like, oh, I don't like slapstick. It's so corny and this and that. Sometimes slapstick could be the funniest thing ever. It just depends. Like Charlie Chaplin used no words and any or sound or barely any sounds. You watch them today, and they're hysterical.
Yeah.
Hysterical, still funny to this day. So it's just a wide array of things, you know. I don't like, I tell you what I don't like. I don't like lowbrow, like something stupid, some just like just so dumb. Like people who are not funny that try to be funny is like the worst thing ever. That's probably like the worst thing. But everything really makes me laugh.
Do you ever get tired of it? Because I saw a SpongeBob meme and he was like coming home tired, and it was like after you come home from a long day and you're the funny friend. Do you ever get tired? You ever get tired of being the funny friend?
It's exhausting. No, it is exhausting. It is this. I mean, this business is exhausting. The travel is exhausting. I always say I get paid to travel. I don't get paid. The traveling is like insanity. To constantly doing it. I mean, I have a flight in a couple of hours, so it's like it's always that movement. That it's exhausting and demanding. But the performance side is my favorite part.
That's what keeps you going.
Yeah, of course. That's the best part. That's the creative part. It's like my therapy. It's like a way to deal. It's like we're all in there together. The audience and yourself. You're having this experience, and you're all in therapy together, and you're working through things together, and you're bringing up subjects that you might not be able to on an office setting or a personal setting at home, and you have the opportunity now through stand-up to talk about things that you normally can't talk about. It's like really, really just rewarding for my spirit. It's something that I gravitated to immediately.
Mo, help me with a myth. I've always had the opinion. It always seemed to be that the best comedians are some of the most troubled people. Disagree or agree with that? I mean, I could be very wrong about that, but it seemed like the ones that had the biggest problems, or mine is maybe Eddie Murphy. It seemed like everything worked out okay for Eddie. He came from, his background was interesting, but but it seemed like some of the battered ones they had these demons, or unhappy people, but they could make everybody else laugh,
Yeah, I do agree that happens. No, it's definitely not a myth. I don't know if it's like the best, but definitely some of the best. I would just say that some of the best comedians to ever exist came from really, really troubled backgrounds and difficult circumstances, at least. And so it just, again, it goes back to like, when you're in a negative place, when something so bad happens to you, you can't help but do that. Like I've always dealt with my trauma by being funny.
Yeah.
That's what always happens to me. And I would get in trouble with my teachers and be like, oh, this kid is just, a troublemaker. And the teachers that understood me were able to use me for their own benefit because they sucked at teachers and they used me to keep the kids' class, attention span, and they were able to like use my energy, in the class. Yeah, it's like those are to me like smart teachers. You were too caught up in yourself to see that I was having some issues, or maybe my friend Bruce over here having some issues, and you want to kick him out and send him to the office when you could just spend 3 minutes with him and just talk and connect with him and change that entire vibe. But you want to be on like, this is my classroom shit, like this is what it takes. This is all the great teachers that I've had have taken moments and have really changed my life. And I remember them from my 5th grade throughout my middle school and high school. There were certain teachers that really, really transformed my life. Wow. And those are the ones that do it. And so I yes, there's some that do that, and there's also some like extremely talented comedians that come from troubled backgrounds. There's a lot of stories like these where there's some of the funniest comedians ever, but you never get to see them because they don't push through their own demons. There's so many that you know about because they're so wildly famous, and there's some that you don't, because there's a lot that you don't because they don't make it. They don't really get pushed through it, and they either die too soon or they fizzle out or drug addiction or whatever happens. So that's why it's really important to keep your focus and to push through and to persevere and whatever demons you're going through, keep them under control and push through.
Mo, this got really deep. Sorry. Mo, tell everybody what you on now, making us happy from H-Town.
Man, come out. This is my homecoming shows at the Improv. It's the last weekend. It's Labor Day weekend, the last weekend in August. I don't know the exact dates. It's like 30. It's the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the last weekend in August. If you can't figure that out, I don't want you at the show personally. It's the last weekend in August. It's Labor Day weekend. It's a homecoming. I got some very, very special announcements, and there's gonna be like, it's just gonna. I can't talk about it too much.
But we'll tell them everything they can see you on TV doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You can watch if you haven't seen the Vagabond on Netflix, and I'm also on Rami on Hulu.
All right, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they got to follow you so they can see what you're
Follow
doing.
me on Instagram, Real Mo Amer. There's a lot of Muhammad's out there, so I got to use the Real Mo Amer joint. Real Mo Amer on Instagram, on Twitter. And Amer is like America without the ICA. If you haven't seen this, but that's the only way I can help it. And then people were like, how do you spell America? That's happened to me twice. This happened to me twice. And they're American citizens, and they were born here. So there you go. But yeah, come out to the Improv, man. I'm super excited. There's gonna be it's gonna be a big show. I got a lot of surprises, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Mo Amer, y'all.
Good. Thank you so much for having me. Yo, wake up, son.